Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a topic that seems just surrounded by myths and, frankly, quite a bit of fear: artificially sweetened beverages.
Yeah, it really is.
You've heard all the claims, haven't you? Like, oh, they trigger cravings or they make you overeat.
Right. Or even that bizarre one that you're somehow better off drinking the full sugar stuff instead.
Exactly. It's almost like people just can't wrap their heads around something tasting sweet without derailing their weight loss efforts. Seems too good to be true, maybe.
That perception is definitely out there.
And it's fueled by, those flashy infographics you see online, the ones with zero science behind them, or the social media gurus. It creates so much confusion.
It really does.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Let's cut through that noise. Let's actually dive into the scientific evidence and figure out, are these drinks friends or foes for weight management?
And that really brings us to the core question for you listening. Is there any real scientific basis for these claims that diet drinks, even with 0 calories, mess up weight loss?
Mm.
Or, like many people say, are you just better off sticking to plain old water? Let's unpack what the studies actually show.
Okay, so with all these really strong opinions out there, we wanted to look at the actual science. And a really good starting point is this study from 2016 by Peters and colleagues. It kind of set a benchmark.
It really did. And what's great about this study is the way they designed it. They took 303 adults, right?
Yeah.
And these folks had just finished a 12-week weight loss program.
So they were already motivated, already making changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then, for the next 40 weeks, almost a year, they were randomly put into one of 2 groups.
Okay.
One group drank only water. The other group incorporated diet drinks, diet sodas, sweetened teas, flavored waters.
And importantly.
Crucially, everyone got the same monthly support for weight maintenance. So the support was identical. The only real difference was the beverage.
Got it. So what happened?
Well, the results were pretty striking. The group drinking the diet beverages lost, on average, 6.2 kilograms over the full year.
Wow. Okay. And the water group?
They lost weight too, but only 2.5 kilograms.
So wait, that's a difference of 3.7 kilos?
Precisely, 3.7 kilograms. And that difference wasn't just, statistically significant, meaning it wasn't likely due to chance.
Right.
It was also clinically significant, meaning it's a large enough difference to potentially have a real impact on someone's health.
That is a huge difference. But, given how deep these myths run, I can imagine people thinking, okay, but that's just one study.
Sure, that's a fair question.
Was it a fluke? Is there a catch? Because, one study is great, but what happens when you try to repeat it, maybe even bigger?
Well, that's where the next piece of evidence comes in. A similar but larger study by Harrold and colleagues, published much more recently in 2024.
Ah, okay, so a replication attempt.
Exactly. And this provides really important context. This one involved 486 people.
Even bigger group.
Yep. And just like the Peters study, they were randomized water or diet drinks for 40 weeks after a 12-week weight loss kickstart. And again, they all got ongoing group support.
Same setup, basically.
Pretty much. And in both studies, they asked participants to drink at least 2 servings of whatever they were assigned each day. So it wasn't just, an occasional thing.
Right, they were actively consuming them. So what did Harrold find? Similar results?
Consistent, yes, but with a slight nuance. The diet beverage group lost 7.5 kilograms.
Okay, even more than in the first study.
Right. And the water group lost 6.1 kilograms. Also good weight loss.
So the difference is 1.4 kilograms this time.
Correct. Now, that 1.4 kilogram difference was statistically significant. So, again, a real effect, not just chance.
But, I sense a but.
Well, the but is that this 1.4 kilogram difference didn't meet the study's own preset bar for clinical relevance, which they had defined as 2.5 kilograms, similar to what Peters found.
Okay, so statistically real, but maybe not quite as impactful in this larger group as in the first study. What does that really mean for you listening at home? Is it still a worthwhile difference?
That's a really good question, and it kind of gets to the heart of interpreting research, right?
Yeah.
Think of it like this. Statistically significant tells us, yes, there's a genuine association here. The diet drinks did help more than water alone. It wasn't random.
Okay.
Clinically relevant, though, that asks if the effect is big enough to make a really noticeable, practical difference in someone's health or life.
Right, like that 3.7 kilogram difference felt more obviously impactful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Harrold's study confirms the benefit is there consistently. It tells us diet drinks aren't some, magic bullet for huge weight loss on their own.
No magic bullets in weight loss, sadly.
No. But it shows they are consistently helpful and importantly, not harmful. Even if the average extra weight loss wasn't massive enough to hit that specific clinical target in this trial, the pattern holds. It reinforces the findings.
That makes sense. It's not about miracles, it's about useful tools.
Okay, so beyond just the kilos lost, the numbers on the scale, I really want to understand the why.
Is it purely that they have no calories, so it makes the deficit easier? Or is something else going on, maybe physiologically? And crucially, were there any, red flags, any worrying health side effects? Because that's the big fear people have.
Absolutely, and that's vital. Both studies were very careful about this. They tracked key health markers, things like blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, fasting blood sugar, what we call cardiometabolic
Key
markers.
important stuff for long-term health.
Exactly. They monitored these throughout the whole year. And here's the really key takeaway. There were zero adverse effects linked to drinking the artificially sweetened beverages. None.
Okay, that's huge. No negative impacts found.
None. In fact, both groups, water and diet drinks, saw improvements in their health markers over time, which makes sense, right? They were losing weight.
Right, weight loss itself is generally good for those markers.
Precisely. But here's something else, and I think this is fascinating, really speaks to the why. In both studies, the people in the diet beverage groups reported feeling less hungry.
Less hungry. Interesting.
Yeah, less hungry, more satisfied with their diet overall, and maybe the most important part, they reported better adherence. They found it easier to stick to the weight management program.
Ah, so it's not just about the lack of calories, it's potentially helping them manage the diet better psychologically.
It strongly suggests that. There seems to be a significant behavioral, a psychological benefit. Being able to have something sweet without the calories might have just made the whole process feel less restrictive, easier to stick with long term.
Okay, wow. So it's not just about what's missing, the calories, but what they might actually add, satisfaction, adherence. That feels like a really big insight.
It is.
So, pulling this all together, what's the practical takeaway for you, the listener, trying to make sense of this in the supermarket aisle? It feels like it's nuanced, maybe, but also pretty reassuring.
I think nuanced but reassuring is a great way to put it. Look, these findings don't mean that diet drinks are somehow healthier than water overall. Water is, essential, foundational. But what these studies do strongly suggest is that if you're following a structured plan for weight loss or maintenance, these artificially sweetened drinks can be a genuinely effective tool.
A tool in the toolbox.
Exactly. And maybe even a more practical tool for some people, helping them stick to their plan without any apparent downside health-wise in this context. For ages, it felt like diet soda was this sort of forbidden thing, right?
Mm.
Too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And the science is now saying, well, actually, it seems to be pretty helpful for a lot of people trying to manage their weight.
That is probably a massive relief for a lot of listeners. It sort of gives permission to enjoy something that's been maybe unfairly demonized.
I think so.
So if you enjoy these drinks, these artificially sweetened beverages, the takeaway seems to be you can feel pretty comfortable including them, whether you're actively losing weight or trying to maintain it.
Yeah.
The evidence we've looked at today clearly shows they aren't going to suddenly make you crave more food. They're not going to mess up your metabolism. They're not going to sabotage your efforts.
No.
In fact, based on what we just discussed about hunger and adherence, they might even make sticking to your plan a bit easier.
That's what the data points towards. The core insight really is that the actual scientific evidence from these well-conducted studies challenges a lot of the common fears and myths out there. It positions these drinks not as some kind of dietary villain, but as a potentially beneficial tool within a broader weight management strategy. It's about making choices based on evidence, not just headlines or what you saw on Instagram.
A really powerful thought to wrap up on. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Given how widespread these myths about diet drinks became, what other common health or diet truths that we all just accept might actually benefit from a proper deep dive into the science instead of just relying on, gut feelings or social media?
That's a great question to ponder.
Something for you to think about until our next deep dive.